It's a decent suspension setup. Flat tire. Fucks. This is beautiful Morocco, just south of Marrakesh to be precise. And this is the brand new Audi RS4 Avant. We flew out here a couple of days ago to do a film on the Audi RS7, but we've also been given the keys to the RS4 and 4 hours to see what mischief we can get into. Now, 4 hours is not a lot of time, I'll be honest, and Audi's actually laid on a bespoke route that they want us to follow, but I'm not gonna follow it. I'm gonna go off, do my own thing, and hopefully try and learn a little bit about the car, somewhere new, somewhere different. The first thing you notice about the new RS4 Avant is the interior. It's not quite the same as Audi's new modern interior designs in something like the RS6, RS7. It's actually using the previous generation interior, although modified slightly. Hello! So the main point of difference is the fact that it doesn't have that 3-screen layout that you get on those cars. Instead, it's got one big 10-inch infotainment screen here, and then Audi's 12-inch virtual cockpit just behind the steering wheel. The infotainment controls are actually pretty decent, nice and straightforward. They give you access to your radio, your media, your telephone, your navigation. And speaking of nav, the virtual cockpit gives you a nice big screen display of your surroundings and let you know exactly where you are. It's a really clever touch. Just below that, you've got all your climate controls. This is not on a touchscreen. It's actually all done through knobs, but that's not too bad actually. It makes a refreshing change to have all your controls done through actual physical controls. It's carnage out here. One of the advantages of not having 2 screens in the middle of your Audi is that you've got a lot of physical space to actually keep your bits and bobs. You've got 2 cup holders. Down here you've got what used to be, I assume, an ashtray, but you can use that to store coins, etc. And then down here in the center console, you've got a wireless charging mat for your mobile phone.
With things getting a little bit crazy in the city, I decided to head out of town to find some quiet, calm roads away from the traffic and hustle and bustle of Marrakesh. The RS4 might be sporty, but it's also an Audi, and I wanted to sample some of that legendary Audi refinement.
Right, so there's something else I wanted to test with this car, and that is the suspension. Now in Morocco, the roads aren't always pristine, and right now we're on a little bit of a bumpy one. And this car's equipped with Audi RS Sport Suspension Plus. So it's a sportier suspension, it lowers the ride height slightly and gives you slightly better driving dynamics, but I wanted to find out what it was like on a road like this. And actually, it's really good. I mean, there's been a few times today when I've had to basically dart off the road onto the verge to avoid other people, and you might hear a little bit of crashing about, but it's absolutely fine. It's a decent suspension setup. Flat tire. Fucks. Flat tire, safely stopped vehicle. This is why, people, when Audi give you a route to follow, you follow the route. Please be a false alarm. No, that's very real. You can actually, yeah, come close. You can actually hear the air escaping from it. I've got my mic there. Yeah, we're running late. Power tailgate, by the way, handy. And I do have a spare. Right. There's a lot of people that moan about cars that don't come with spare tires. I'm not one of them because I haven't had to change a spare tire in years. But I guess today's the day. All right, where's all the stuff?
All that stuff doesn't actually exist in this car. Audi had provided a spare wheel in this case because, hey, Morocco, but no jack. And that's because they, like many manufacturers, don't supply their cars with a spare wheel or a jack in the UK. And this is a UK car. Instead, they supply UK cars with tyre puncture kits. And luckily, tyre repair kits are simple, straightforward, and easy to use. Or at least, that's the theory.
I've not done this in a long time, and I've never done it with an Audi, so I'm just gonna follow the instructions. Open the flap on the compressor, figure 185. Is there a flap? There's no flap on this compressor. Open the flap, but there is no flap. This is what it's supposed to look like. There's a fold down flap. Where's the flange? I guess that goes into the old cigarette lighter thing. Oh no, there's an on button. That would. Okay. Whoa! It's literally doing nothing. Yeah, so the air is going into there and coming straight back out. This is what happens, yeah, when manufacturers stop supplying jacks and spare wheels and they start supplying this stuff. This is what happens. I'm gonna call for help.
Eventually, the lovely Audi support team turned up with all the gear required to change my flat, and in under 5 minutes managed to get me back on the road. Their parting words to me were something along the lines of, try and avoid large potholes and stick to smoother roads where possible. Now, clever people would follow that advice. Me, I decided it might be more fun to ignore it completely.
Right, has anyone ever wondered how fast an Audi RS4 Avant can go 0 to 62 on gravel? No? Well, I have, and I've found a little gravel road, and I'm gonna do a run. Right, let's put it into sport mode, RS2, acceleration measurement on, foot on the brake, accelerate, send it. Wheel spin. Oh my God. Okay. 0 to 62, 5.1. So with almost no traction whatsoever, I don't think my Mustang at home, damn near 500 horsepower, can go that quick on tarmac. That's quattro for you. This thing's mega.
So the RS4 is quick then, on any surface. And journeying out of Marrakesh, I discovered it's a car that doesn't have to be traveling fast to capture the imagination. With its striking shape, burbling exhausts, and a dusty tinge to its Sonoma green paint, it's a car that attracts plenty of attention. Maybe this had something to do with the fact that it's a rare sight in Morocco, but there's no two ways about it. The RS4 has evolved nicely from the previous version to this current one.
All right, let's have a proper look at the car. I feel like I've been driving it quite a lot, but haven't had a chance to take it all in yet. But there are some changes to the 2020 Audi RS4 Avant, including the grille. This is brand new, so it's now not quite as tall as it was on the old car, but it's definitely wider than the previous iteration. It's also got this gloss black honeycomb structure going on here, quite nice and intricate. Also, the headlights are now RS specific. They're brand new with a tinted bezel to give it this look almost like it's wearing like sunglasses, I guess. Really nice, really aggressive. Biggest change for me though is on the side. So down here, you got front and rear wheel arches that are now 30 millimeters wider than you get on the standard A4. Plus it's got these Audi Quattro blisters, which make it really reminiscent of the old Audi Quattros. On top of that, you get 19-inch wheels as standard, but these are running 20s, diamond cut alloys. Then around the back, pretty much the same as the old car really, but all in all, really nice package. What I want to talk about though, is a few of the options. Right, I actually have the spec sheet in front of me, some options. So the standard car costs £64,600. This one, £81,000, and there's a reason for that. It's got a load of options, including those wheels, £2,300. Get them if you can. Then you've got the RS Sport exhaust system. That's 12,000, not quite, 1,250 quid. RS Sport suspension, we saw how good that was earlier on. Get that if you can. Panoramic glass sunroof, 1,600 quid. But what I'd get, if I were you, is the top speed de-restriction. Now that will raise the top speed from 155 to 174. Totally useless if you live in the UK, only any good to people who use the Autobahn. But you know what? Bragging rights, gotta have them. Speaking of speed, that down there is a really nice road. I'm gonna go and drive it. Now this is a cool spot. Audi had actually laid on a completely different road in another location entirely, but that was around 2 hours away from us and we really didn't have the time to go there. So what we did was we fired up the old Google Maps and we found this really nice stretch of black tarmac that seems to connect one virtually abandoned town to another. And it's really cool out here and it gives us a chance to really see what this car's got, kind of put it through its paces. So the engine, it uses a 2.9 litre bi-turbo V6 that makes 450 PS and 600 newton meters of torque. Now that might not sound like an awful lot in today's world, but trust me, it feels like a lot. It'll do 0 to 62 in 4.1 seconds. Arguably the coolest thing about the engine though, isn't the power, it's the noise. I was driving an Audi RS7 yesterday and that's got a twin turbo V8, but this sounds better, I mean by miles. The car handles really nicely as well, and I think a lot of that is down to the fact that it's a lot lighter than some of the cars that you might want to compare it to. The Audi RS6, for example, this car's big brother, weighs well over 2,000 kilograms. This, 1,745 kilos. And that difference of 300 kilos or so is just absolutely massive. You can feel it through the corners so much. Chuck it in, and it kind of feels almost like a go-kart. If I was to be driving the Audi RS6 on this particular road, I think it might feel like a bull in a china shop really, because it might be a little bit too big for something as narrow as this, but this car seems to fit absolutely perfectly. There's no fancy rear wheel steering, but honestly, it doesn't really need it. It uses Audi's center differential technology, so it's got a center diff that can shuffle the torque around and send up to 70% to the front or up to 85% to the rear. So depending on what you're doing, the car can feel either pretty much front wheel drive or rear wheel drive. It's also got a sport diff at the back and that can shuffle the torque around left to right. Really helps you on turning. You chuck it in, it feels immensely pointy, just really eager every time. Look at that. As for the brakes, well, they're using 6-piston calipers on this, 375 millimeters on the front, 330 on the rear, and they're really strong, really confidence inspiring. They're not carbon ceramics, but honestly, on this car, with this kind of weight, and the fact that you're not really gonna ever track this thing, I don't think you'll need it. All in all, this thing is hilarious to drive. Arguably, I would say, more fun than the RS6. Just a quick note on the torque actually, it makes peak torque anywhere between 2,000 RPM and 5,500 RPM. So at any given time, the car feels super eager. You put your foot down and it just wants to take off. Right, so obviously they've nailed the performance thing. The car's quick, the car's fun, but the car also has to be practical. So I think we need to go and investigate that side of the RS4's character. Here I am in a traditional Moroccan pottery shop, I think. I want to find out exactly how much space is in the back of an RS4. Right, so let's say, hypothetically, you're on holiday in Morocco and you want to bring back a souvenir for your loved ones. There's no better car, surely, than an Audi RS4 Avant. The total capacity is 495 litres with the seats up, or if you fold them down, that's 1,495. Let's see how big that is in ceramic pot terms. Right, we'll drop this, take it out. This might have a little space underneath for it to slot into, or it might not. I'm gonna go with not. Release this. A bit fiddly all this, isn't it, really? Right, let's get some pots in. Starting with this bad boy. That's quite heavy. One. Actually quite a decent height, as you can see. Not quite a flat load floor though, so that's annoying. Let's get another one going. That's 2 pots. What are they made from? They're so heavy. Okay, 3 pots. And these will be perfect for things like potted plants or, I don't know, carrying cats in. We'll go for a more decorative one over here. 2 of these. And pop them in. Will that fit? I'm gonna go with no, but I'm gonna try anyway. The beauty of this is, right, if it doesn't quite fit in the boot, open the door. Open the door. The seats are folded flat. Whack that in. Literally, I reckon that's exhausting. That's a cardio workout. I reckon you could get probably 10 or 15 random ceramic pots from a random Moroccan pot store. Let's go.
There can be no question then, the RS4 is all the fast estate you'll ever need. As I've just discovered, it's very spacious and practical, its performance is hilarious and exciting, and it attracts attention for all the right reasons. It might not be quite as legendary as its big brother, the RS6, but there's no denying it's up there with the very best fast estates that money can buy.
So that was 4 hours in an Audi RS4. I feel like I've learned an awful lot about this car. Probably learned more about this car in 4 hours than a lot of people would learn about their car in a month. But on the whole, I like it. Really good performance, really good practicality, and a really good sidekick to take with you on mad, crazy adventures. So that's it. If you like this video, then make sure you subscribe, hit that bell notification icon so you never miss another video, hit like, and if you want to see more of this craziness, then come back soon. See you later. Back to London.